Okay, here's my first one. I'm just going to paraphrase this on the board, but it's regarding a light speed problem for the six-day creation. You've answered this back in the past, and this is an additional thing to this. But he said, this is Rod, by the way, when he submitted his question, he said when it got to the part about God hanging the bow in the sky, so obviously the rainbow, it occurred to me that refraction is related to how fast light travels through a medium. Clearly, before God gave the rainbow as a sign that he would never flood the earth again, the rainbow had never been seen. So it seems to me that God made some sort of change to the world to make the rainbow possible. What if prior to Noah, light was instantaneous in speed, and God changed light so that it had a specific speed and would travel at different speeds in different mediums to allow refraction? I have done some research, and many believe that there was no rain prior to the flood based on Genesis 2:6 and Hebrews 11:7. Others argue that Hebrews is talking about the flood, and Genesis does not mean that there was never rain, just not at the beginning. I can see both arguments. As Steve says, the Bible is not science textbook. Anyway, I'd appreciate your thoughts on my questions. So this is for all you engineers, science geeks, and stuff. Light speed problem. What do you say to all that, Pastor Steve?
Well, you know what? There's a lot of speculation there, and so it's the nature of light that when light goes passes through a medium, it slows down, and that's where as you said, that you get refraction and things like that. And I don't really know what the purpose would be for changing the speed of light after the flood. If I was looking at a place for that to take place, it would probably be after the fall, and because it's at the fall that you have the changing of the world, the earth and all the systems on it. You have the entrance of decay and that kind of stuff. It looks like something happens there with the laws of thermodynamics on some level. And so if we were going to change light speed, then that would be the place that I would be looking at. I'm of the opinion that there was a change in the climate, or actually in the way that water comes to the earth. You have that clear passage that you referred to in Genesis chapter 2, where it talks about the fact that water came up from the ground. There was a mist that came up from the ground at the beginning of the creation, and it's in verse 5 of chapter 2. It says, "Before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground." And so it looks like the hydrologic cycle was different, and I don't know why. Again, there would be a difference in the hydrologic cycle from the point of the creation into the time of the flood and up to the fall. I don't know why you would change the hydrologic cycle at the fall. And so it looks to me like there wasn't rain on the land specifically during the time of the flood. You would still have evaporation, and so you would still have clouds. But if you don't have, it looks like what was taking place before the flood is there was a worldwide warm climate, and that's not just taken from the passages in the book of Genesis. That's taken from geology. And so when you're looking at what the world used to be like, there used to be palm trees up in northern Alaska when they're cutting through permafrost, when they're drilling for oil, they routinely find palm fronds, and so they're finding tropical vegetation in Alaska. They've also found it down in Antarctica, and so something is way different, obviously, about the world. And so it looks like there was a worldwide warm climate, and some people actually, early guys talking about the book of Genesis postulated a vapor canopy over the earth. There's some problems with that because of the fall of the vapor canopy and what that would do, some of the thermodynamics involved with that. But something that caused a worldwide warm climate. If you got a worldwide warm climate, then you don't have the extremes that we have now. The reason that we have the kind of weather patterns that we have right now is because we have high and low pressure systems, and those are all tied in with climate, with temperature, basically. And so you have cold temperatures at the poles. Well, you didn't have that extreme back in early Earth history. And so that looks like it was all taking place before the flood. And so you could still have clouds, but they would be mainly over the oceans. And if you don't have clouds, you don't have rain. If you don't have rain, you don't have rainbows. And so I think that that's probably what was going on here. It's also another reason for the disbelief in the flood by the generation that was there during the time of Noah. Noah was a preacher of righteousness. Obviously, for 120 years, he would be preaching about the fact that there was going to be a great flood coming. And literally, if that's the case, if you had a worldwide warm climate and you only had evaporation basically over the oceans, you didn't have the same hydrological cycle that we've got nowadays where you have evaporation over the oceans, the wind blows in the clouds, and then you have rainfall over the continents. If you didn't have that same hydrologic cycle, you could literally have scientists of the day telling Noah that what he was talking about was physically impossible, that it could not rain on the land for 40 days and 40 nights, as the Bible talks about. And thus the unbelief, thus the fact that only one family was saved because they actually believed God. And, you rightly said, it looks like in Genesis chapter 9 that God sets his bow in the cloud. It said, verse 12, "This is the sign of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. It shall be when I bring a cloud over the earth that the rainbow shall be seen in the cloud, and I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh." And so the rainbow is not a gay symbol. The rainbow is a symbol of God's grace towards mankind in that he's not going to flood the earth again. And so I think the best answer to that is probably the simplest answer, and it looks like that passage in Genesis 2:5 correlates with this, and that you didn't have rain over the continents before the flood. So.
Okay, so if you didn't have rain, then it would be impossible to have the rainbow.
Right.
And when you're looking at light speed problems, a lot of people jump on this for creation to try and get age and distant stars and that type of thing. Is that why light speed is such a debated topic in creation?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that when you look at it, it's something that is a problem. It's not just a problem for creation; it's a problem for evolutionists too. There's what's called the horizon problem, and basically the universe has expanded quicker than the speed of light can spread heat. Well, I phrased that wrong. The heat in the universe has expanded in such a way that it's gone faster than the speed of light. Okay, and what that means is when I'm looking out in this direction in the universe, and I measure the heat, the background radiation, and I look in the exact opposite direction and I measure the heat, I get the same measurement, and it's minutely different, but it's the same measurement.
They can measure radiation that far out.
Yeah, it's called the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Wow.
And so it's the same in all directions. And so that can't be. And this is where you get the idea of inflation during an early time in the universe. What they're trying to do is they're trying to save the Big Bang theory. So basically, when you're thinking about the Big Bang, you have the universe is very small. The size, basically they talk about the size of an electron, and then it begins expanding. Okay, over time, and it has expanded at a rate that puts the outer edges of what we see as the universe beyond the time that it would take for the universe to even up as far as heat goes. So basically what I'm telling you is we can look out almost 13 billion light years this direction. Well, that's supposed to be the age of the universe. Well, if I just take that and go the opposite direction, I'm looking at a distance of 26 billion light years, and it's actually more than that because of the expansion of the universe, right?
And in that time, you would have a heat death.
No, in that time you should not have an equalization of heat across the universe. You don't have enough time for it,
Okay.
and so I shouldn't be able to look out there and see exactly the same temperature as I see when I look over here. There should be a differential there, and there's not.
Now, why should there be a differential?
Because the speed of light is faster than heat,
Okay.
right? And so basically, we're in a position where the universe is not old enough for it to have all evened out as far as heat goes. It's kind of like when you take a pan and you put it on a stove.
Yeah, that's what I meant by heat death.
Right. Well, heat death is the idea that all the stars have died and all of the heat in the universe has been spread out evenly, and so you've got the heat death is like there's no more there's no
Exchange
localized
of energy.
heat.
Yeah.
So there can't be stars, there can't be planets
Okay.
that are alive and that kind of thing. And so basically, that's where the whole issue of the expansion of the universe, or the quick inflation of the universe, comes into play, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the universe in a small area. All the heat is equally distributed, and then make that expand really quickly so that you beat the light speed problem, and you can have the same temperature over here as you have over here. And I know that's kind of confusing, but that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I follow you.
And so it's not just creationists that have a light speed problem. It's everybody has a light speed problem.
Because they want to do the Big Bang,
Right.
and then creationists are trying to debate the age of the Earth.
Right. Well, the age of the universe specifically.
Universe.
And so when you're looking at that, there's a number of things that you can do with physics to actually get past the whole light speed issue. And so one of them is what Jason Lisle has done, and he talks about the two-way speed of light versus the one-way speed of light. Another one is another theory of a white hole for the universe.
We've talked about that, I think.
Yeah. And those are all designed to deal with the speed of light problem. So, for example, in a white hole universe, you would have a bounded universe, which would mean that all of the mass in the universe was in one place, and it's not space that's expanding; it's the material that's in space is expanding through the universe. And at that point, you start off with the biggest black hole that there is. And so for God to take that and make it something else, make it expand, he would have to change the gravitational coefficient. And he would have to change gravity, basically, and make that black hole expand, which would make it a white hole. And so what's wild about that is that you have the biggest black hole ever. You make it a white hole, that means everything's moving out. And when you get to the event horizon of a black hole or a white hole, doesn't matter what it is, time stands still for you, and it moves rapidly out in the universe. And so you would have enough time for the light to get to you. with the two-way speed of light versus one-way speed of light. The only way the speed of light can be measured is in two directions, basically. Or actually, you can't measure the one-way speed of light, and so that has to do with clocks and distance and things like that. It can't be done, and so all you can do is measure the reflection of the speed of light off of something, and so we assume that reflection indicates that if the speed of light is 186,000 miles per second, going and coming, then that's what it would be, going and coming, right? We're assuming something, and that isn't necessarily a valid assumption. The Einsteinian physics allows for a one-way speed of light that's infinite. Well, the other direction, the two-way speed of light, would be 186,000 miles per second. And so there's ways to overcome the speed of light problem with the universe. And again, it's not just creationists that have the problem, it's evolutionists that have the problem also.
Yeah. So do you think that, not to make this a whole long thing, but is there a reason light couldn't have changed with the fall in the sense of God is light? This is anecdotal, but a lot of people think that maybe Adam and Eve were clothed with light. Like maybe there's a part of creation that involved light that changed during the fall that would mess with speeds.
Yeah, there's some theories, like tired light type of stuff that as light gets further, as light travels further through the universe, that it slows down. Mm-hmm. And there's some theories like that. There are some theories about the speed of light being infinite at the very beginning and changing over time. The problem comes in when you start looking at distant galaxies and you start seeing events, and there should be some, and I don't want to get into the weeds here, but there should be, if the speed of light has slowed down over time, you should be able to look at specific events and you would be able to tell that it has done this. And that's not what we're seeing. And so
didn't your last statement, though, give an out to that?
As far as the assumption that it coming back or us looking at it hasn't changed? If it's coming towards us and it's instantaneous, and that would be the idea, that it's instantaneous coming towards us, what we're seeing in the universe is exactly what's going on right now. If the two-way speed of light indicates the speed of the one-way speed of light, then what we're seeing at 13 billion light years is something that happened 13 billion years ago. And so neither one of those is going to fiddle with the observation, basically.
Okay.
It's only when you slow down the speed of light that the observations get different. And so those are some of the problems with it. And obviously, there's a bunch of different theories, and they need to go along with the physics that we know works. And like I said, both creationists and non-creationists have a problem with the speed of light. So,
all right, there you go.